everybody, tonight we are debating flat Earth versus globe Earth, and we are starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic debate. Here at Modern Day Debate, we host debates on science, religion, and politics, and we try to do it in the most fair way possible, so everybody has their shot to make their case on an equal playing field. And we are very excited as we have many more debates coming up. So if you love debates, especially on hot topic, hot button type issues, consider hitting that subscribe button as we have many more to come, including tomorrow. So that should be a fun one. And a couple of housekeeping announcements up front before we get rolling with the debate. Very excited, folks, to mention a couple of things. First, actually several things. So first, you'll see on the far right side of your screen, right? There it is, over there, is on the far right side of your screen, you will see all of the podcast apps that we are on right now. We are invading the world of podcasts. This is in addition to being on YouTube. We just got approved for iHeartRadio and Google Podcasts, so those should be over there on that list as well. And if you can't find us on your favorite podcast, let us know. We will work on getting on there. And want to let you know as well, we are very excited. A lot of people, if you didn't know this, I just learned this myself, very embarrassing, is that some people were saying, hey, are you guys getting censored or like shadow banned by YouTube, something like that, because I'm subscribed, but I don't always get notifications. There are 3 steps. If you always want to get a notification, you have to hit subscribe, then hit that little bell picture, and then it'll give you a little drop-down menu, and you can choose how often you want to get notifications. So the default is it'll only choose some of the uploads to let you know about. And so that's why you're sometimes not getting notifications, even if you're a subscriber. So you'll just have to click all if you want all. So also, very excited. Want to let you know, for tomorrow's debate, it's going to be we've got 2 really hot button issues. And I want to let you know, if anybody knows LGR, I have to issue, I've just got to come clean now. Oh, this is embarrassing as well. LGR, if you're listening, if anybody knows LGR, I want to apologize. I have no idea. I didn't know who LGR is. I just learned today. I used LGR's picture in a thumbnail thinking that it's just a person who would never see it anyway, and it was never meant to be a personal jab. So just want to let you know that if you're out there, LGR is a total mistake, was never trying to infer, or I should say imply, anything about you or anything like that. So I have put myself in that thumbnail instead. And with that, we are excited, folks, as this is going to be a fun one. We're going to have Austin going first with a 5 to 10 minute opening statement, followed by Tom, and then open discussion. We'll have Q&A at the end, so feel free to fire your questions into the old live chat. And with that, let's get right into it. So, thanks, gentlemen, for being here. It's a true pleasure to have you, both Tom and Austin. So let me first just say thanks and welcome. We're glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Thanks.
Absolutely. So, with that, Austin, the floor is all yours. Thanks for being here.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't make a presentation or anything, but I will break it down. Hopefully this will be paid attention to. It'll save us some time. It'll be a productive conversation. So one thing I always say before I debate, which always gets overlooked every time, is when you make a positive claim, you have the burden of proof. The globe Earth makes positive claims and portrays them to be definitive reality. So you have the burden of proof. If you don't want to accept that, literally doesn't change it, right? So falsification is independent of replacement. And what normally happens is, as opposed to defending the definitive physical claims the globe model makes, we get shifting the burden of proof fallacies where it's like, well, how do pancakes work on a flat Earth? And that isn't the issue. Falsification is independent of replacement. So I don't need to explain every aspect of existence. That isn't me hand wave dismissing any obligation or anything like that, but it is objective. So simply, if we could get to this middle ground concession, maybe it'd be more productive than some of these things are. But the globe Earth makes physical positive claims, right? And so then, in order to validate those, we would look at the natural sciences, the study of the physical world. We would hold them to those standards to see if they can be validated empirically, because they are physical claims. They are not philosophical claims, metaphysical claims. They're making physical claims about the Earth, right? A radius, circumference, orbital trajectories, the medium it's encompassed in, etc. And as far as I know, there are no physical demonstrations that can be presented to even show the potentiality of the globe Earth's claims, right? So show me water spinning, adhering to the exterior of a spinning spherical object. So that is actually your claim. So you need to at least show it's possible in the physical realm. Show us where gas pressure can exist void of physical containment. That is one of your physical claims. So if we go through the physical claims of the globe Earth, and we can have some physical demonstrations like the orbital trajectory of spherical bodies based on proportionate mass or bendy space-time, whatever you want to say, then we can at least accept it as a feasible postulation. But we do not just have to blindly support and believe whatever it is that you claim is the causation of observations in the sky, et cetera. And then until we replace the fairy tale's true. So that's really simply my baseline. He said he didn't really know my stance. That is my stance. I do not claim a definitive model. We don't have access to all the information to make a definitive claim as to a mapping out or a model. But what we do know is that we falsify the globe Earth. The globe Earth does not uphold to empirical scrutiny. So you need to substantiate that that's what we live on. And then I'm happy to go into the discussion whatever direction it goes in. But hopefully we can keep that intellectual honesty as some parameters so the conversation will be productive. It doesn't happen typically, and of course fallacious reasoning is never accepted, so I'll be forced to call it out when it's presented. But yeah, it's pretty much it. Just in conclusion, simply falsifications independent of replacement. So we're trying to see if there's any physical empirical evidence the Earth is in fact this globe.
You got it. Thanks so much. And want to give you a quick notification, folks, that I've put the links of the speakers in the description for you in case you're listening and you want to hear more. They're right there for you. So, Tom, the floor is all yours. Thanks as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So, yeah, we know the Earth is a globe and not flat because we can see it. We can literally just fly up in space and see it. We've put satellites in the air and we can see it. We can use telescopes to see the International Space Station and other satellites we've put into the atmosphere. And we can just literally just calculate the magnification of the telescopes and the size of the object we're looking at to know how far away it is. So we can see that they're exactly how far away they are said to be and the exact size that they're said to be. And so we can know that they can take pictures and just a camera essentially. And so without some kind of crazy conspiracy theory, we can just see the pictures of the Earth being round, not a problem. There's also lots of things you can do on Earth to demonstrate that the Earth is a globe and not flat. Like one is you can make a big ass pendulum and you place it in the northern hemisphere and it'll like, and start it moving, it'll start to rotate to the right or to the clockwise. And if you put it in the southern hemisphere and you do the same thing, it'll rotate counterclockwise. And if you put it on the equator and do the same thing, it won't rotate either way. It'll just go back and forth the entire time. Now, if you try to replicate this on just like a piece of cardboard, you're going to have some problems. Like how are you going to get one of the pendulums on one side to rotate one way with the other one rotating the other way, and the one in the center going straight? It doesn't make any sense, because if you try to move the cardboard in a uniform way, if it was flat, then they're all going to rotate in the exact same direction, and that's kind of a problem for the flat Earth model. It's pretty easy to make sense on the globe Earth model because, well, one's on the top of the Earth, one's on the bottom, and one's in the center, so it makes perfect sense. These rotations of these pendulums also match the rotations of the stars. Coincidentally, if we look up on the northern hemisphere, it rotates clockwise, and look down on the southern hemisphere, it rotates counterclockwise, and on the equator, it just rotates straight. Stars just go all the way across the sky, just like the sun does, essentially. So all of those things match on the globe Earth model, which make absolutely no sense on the flat Earth model. Apparently, the sky is rotating in different directions depending on where you are on the flat Earth. That doesn't really make a great deal of sense. Hurricanes also follow the exact same pattern. Most hurricanes and tornadoes rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. The magnetic field, like we can do magnetic field testing where we know if you take two magnets, you rub them together, you get this magnetic field, which is a bubble shape. And we can measure the magnetic field of the Earth with like compasses and things. So we know that the shape of the Earth is round because the magnetic field is that shape. Just like any of the magnetic fields we create, the small ones with our hands, just rubbing magnets together, it's going to be the same shape as the big one around the Earth. So if the world was flat, it's going to create this very, very strange dome-shaped magnetic field that doesn't make any sense. But in the globe Earth, it makes perfect sense. It just looks like the same as all the other magnetic fields we make when we just rub magnets together. So obviously, the magnetic field around the Earth is this is what it would be if it was a globe shape. So it's you just do that experiment and take two magnets, rub them together, done. Um, the east-west effect is where we can measure the ionic particles or ionic radiation from the atmosphere. And we know they come more from the west than from the east. This, if we're on a flat Earth, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because maybe we're just moving like in one direction more than the other. Possibly, that's possible. But or we're just on a globe Earth and it's spinning, and which just makes more sense, which is why the particles can come in from one way easier than another way. Seismic measuring of earthquakes. We know earthquakes have different kinds of waves when they occur. They have P waves, S waves, and L waves. We can measure the difference between these waves on different locations that are measuring the earthquake. So if the farther away you are, the longer the distance between the different waves. But if we were on a flat Earth, they should all be the exact same because, well, if the earthquake happens in one location and the first wave and the second wave and the third wave, then the rate that they travel across the ground should be the same for all three waves, unless the world is curved, in which case that since the waves are traveling through the Earth, the ones that are the lower ones will actually happen faster than the ones that are on the top, which will actually take longer since the distance between the two measurement things are actually closer together on a curved surface than on a flat surface. So then the difference in time between these three waves actually makes sense on a curved surface. It doesn't work on a flat surface. So there's another way we can measure that the Earth is curved. The shadow on the moon, is a pretty good evidence that the Earth is curved because the Earth gets in between the sun and the moon and creates a shadow. Like you can just take a light bulb, take a tennis ball, and then take a golf ball, and you can replicate the shadow on the moon, just like you can on Earth. So then it makes sense that if the tennis ball is the Earth, put it in between the flashlight or the light bulb and the golf ball, you get a shadow on it, the same as with what we see on the moon. So we get the same testable results. We can say, oh, hey, this stuff we're seeing, the observations that we're seeing from the shadow on the moon are the same as the observations from the tennis ball blocking the light from the golf ball. Oh my God, evidence the world is round. Oh, experiments you can do in your home. Damn. He asked for evidence that we can see that there's water and stuff that's on a ball in space. We have lots of evidence of that. We can just look at this planets, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus. Those are gas giants. Well, Venus is body of gas. I don't know if it's a gas giant, but we can see there's gas. Gas is less dense than water, and we can see gas can stay in space pretty easily on a round ball. We know all they're round because we can literally see them. And we know it's gas because we can take gas, liquids, and solids, put them into a container and see how they interact. And we can compare the shape and way they move to the shape and the way the things move on the planets we're seeing and say, oh, look, yep, those are definitely gas. Definitely not liquid, definitely not solid. And we can also measure them using the light measurements to see what kind of light reflects off them. And I forget what it's called. It's informatic something or another. So we can see that they're gas and they're on a ball in space. Not a problem. So we can literally see that this happens. So it makes sense to say, hey, if it's happening there and all of those other planets, it's also probably happening here on our planet. That makes sense. Another way we can test that the Earth is round is we can see the Eidfos effect, which can measure the rotation of the Earth. It measures, like, we can say that the center point of rotation of the Earth is underneath the ground somewhere, not on the surface. So it can't really be flat because it has to be rotating around a point beneath the Earth, unless the flat plane is kind of going around like this, something, and the flat Earth is rotating around a big empty space instead of an actual ball, which just means that the world's round. You can build a neutrino emitter, like neutrino emitters. If you have enough money, you can build one or build two on two different sides of the planet. And in order to send a signal from one to the other, you have to shoot it down through the Earth. If the Earth was flat, you'd have to shoot it straight. So we know that the world is round because in order for the neutrino emitter to send a signal to the other neutrino emitter, you got to point it down, not straight. We can measure the difference in gravity on different parts of the world. So if we are standing at the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, the gravity is actually measurably less than if we're standing on the equator. If we're standing on the equator, it's more. If we're standing on the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, the gravity is measurably more than if we're standing on the equator. If the flat Earth model is true, that makes no sense unless gravity affects just the middle part of the Earth different than the edges. I don't know how that works. But if we're on a globe, it makes perfect sense because the globe is spinning like a baseball, and we can just take a baseball, spin it, and then you add like a little needle with a string on it, and you can actually see that the string is actually going around further if it's in the middle of the spinny part of the ball, and it's not going around as much to the top or the bottom. So we can test that on Earth. Just take a baseball, stick a needle in it with a string, and you can, oh, hey, we can replicate what we see about the measurement of gravity on the Earth. Easy. Another way to test the Earth is round. You can just buy a plane, fly straight in a line, just pick a direction, fly exactly straight in a line. And if you fly for 40,000 kilometers, you'll end up exactly back where you started. That I don't think is physically possible on a flat Earth unless you have like some kind of Doctor Who teleportation devices. Not really possible. Another way to measure the Earth is round is that the Earth's poles move. Like the magnetic poles can move. They do move, and we can measure how they move. And they move in a big spirally shape. Wonder why that is. Like if the Earth's flat, then why is the magnetic pole moving in a giant spirally shape? Must be something that's traveling in a spherical shape to do that. And so either there's some kind of sphere below the Earth causing the magnetic thing to be there and spinning in a circle in a ball shape, or the Earth is a globe. I mean, that's Earth globe makes a lot of sense. The Sagnac effect is another one which measures the rotation speed of different points on Earth. You can like go to the point of Earth and then measure the speed of rotation. And at the North Pole, it's a 0 essentially. And if the flat Earth is right, then the closer you get to the South Pole, the faster it'll get. The speed of rotation will increase. But for some reason at the equator, it increases up until the equator, and then after the equator, it starts to decrease, go down. So either the middle of the Earth on the flat Earth model is spinning faster, and the outside of the Earth is spinning slower, like a lot slower, like in the opposite direction to get 0 rotation, or the world's a globe. That makes more sense. The Eratosthenes experiment proves the world is a globe. It's just building big pillars straight up in different locations to show the shadow effect of the Earth, which can be measured to have a different predictable result. If the world is flat or round, it's definitely round. We can also show the world is round from looking at supernovas, like supernova 1987A. And it is not as far away as other things in the universe, but it can only be seen from the southern hemisphere. So if the world is flat, then everyone in the world will be able to see it. But because it's only seeable from the southern hemisphere, that means that it can't be flat. It means that some part of the world is curved away from the others, since we can see things farther away from the other locations. So it doesn't make any sense to say the world's flat. There's also a bunch of other things. You can just go to 100 proofs that the Earth is a globe. Don't take it on faith, and that would be sufficient.
Want to say thank you very much, both of you gentlemen. We'll jump into the open conversation mode. And want to let you know, folks, no matter what walk of life you are from, whether you take the globe position or the flat position, we really do hope you feel welcome here, as we really do want to be as nonpartisan and fair as possible. So with that, we'll jump into this conversation. The floor is all yours, gentlemen. I'm sure this is going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to start. I wanted to mention his introduction. Yeah, he's right. A negative position doesn't hold the same burden of proof as a positive position. So if he's just saying, like, if he's an aglobist, where he's saying he doesn't think the world is a globe because the evidence doesn't support it, that position would not be the same as saying the world is flat. If you're saying the world is flat, that's a positive claim that holds a burden of proof that you need to substantiate. The title of the debate was like globe or flat Earth. So if he's not actually defending the flat Earth and he's just saying the globe Earth isn't supported by evidence, those are two different claims. And just want to be clear, are you just claiming the aglobist position, not the flat Earth position?
No. Well, if the Earth isn't curved anywhere, then it's flat. Flat's a general description. It's not a shape. So yeah, I'm saying the globe Earth is falsifiable. You have the burden of proof to prove that. My only positive claim is a general description of the surface being flat. which I can't substantiate. It's void of physical obstruction necessitated by the rate of curvature of your globe model. But also, just to respond to your whole introductional fest, in short, no, there's not one single physical demonstration that you presented out of all of that shows physical claims. You did things like point to the sky and said, since we know that Jupiter is a gas planet or something, a gas in a vacuum, since we know what the sky is based on what we said it is and assumed it is, that's how we know the Earth's a ball. In addition, you said something about a magnetic field wouldn't work on a flat Earth. What? So you can look at the magnetic flux mapped up over a plane, and it goes around the center of the plane. And in fact, they have toroidal manifestations. The Earth could be an inertial plane. You're presupposing nothing below it.
No. So if we take two magnets,
forgive me for interrupting. I'm so sorry about that. We do have a volume difference to where if Austin, if you're able to help me by turning yours just a bit down, and then Tom, if you're able to turn yours just a bit up, and then I think we'll probably be at about equal. Thanks for that feedback, folks, in the chat. Appreciate that.
is that better? Hopefully.
Yeah, turn mine down a little bit.
Yeah, you're about the same. Austin, you're slightly louder yet, but thanks so much, guys. Appreciate that.
Is that better?
Testing.
Absolutely. Perfect.
All right. So yeah, the magnets thing is that if we take two magnets and we rub them together, we get a magnetic field, and we can measure the shape of the magnetic field. We can see what the shape is.
Toroidal.
Yes. So if we look at that on a flat Earth, and we can measure the actual shape of the magnetic field on the Earth. We can just use compasses and other devices to show what the shape is. And if we map that out onto a flat plane, then the shape isn't the same as when we're rubbing two magnets together. It's like if we rub two magnets together and then it starts to bend, it's not even. So if the magnetic field around the flat Earth, if the Earth is flat, then the magnetic field is a completely different shape than every other magnetic field we make when we rub it together.
That's patently false, dude. That's patently false.
How so?
Actually, you don't have to rub magnets together, right? Like, you can take...
Okay, Austin, if you're able to turn yours up just a bit, it's maybe a bit too low.
Is that... All right, we'll get there.
Okay, so again, the shape of the magnetic field is demonstrably different than if the world is flat. How is that wrong?
Yeah. It's just patently false. That's how it's wrong. So I'm explaining
How
it.
so?
So if you have a neodymium boron iron magnet, before you turn it into a magnet, you're going to introduce electrical voltage. It's going to turn into a magnet. It's going to have a magnetic field just sitting there. We don't need your rubbing magnets together. It's magnetic. It has a field.
Yeah, obviously there's different ways to rub magnets together. There's just a way to generate electricity. So how does that show the shape is different?
I'm actually getting there. So we know magnetism manifests toroidal. You are saying that can't happen on a flat Earth, and I just explained.
No, I didn't say it can't happen on a flat Earth. I said
that it wouldn't happen the same way, right? The Earth would be the inertial plane. You do know that a magnetic field has an inertial plane through the center.
Okay.
And so if there was a toroidal energy manifestation above and below symmetrically with an inertial plane, that is exactly how it would happen.
Okay, but that's not what I said. I said we can actually measure what the shape of the field is. Like on Earth, we can see what is the shape of the field. The shape of the field is the exact same shape of the ones of any magnet we rub together or create an electrical force on anyway, any one that we create, an electrical field. It's the same shape if the world is round. If the world is flat, it's not the same shape.
You can't just say that. You're taking the magnetic data, wrapping it around the presupposition of a spherical Earth, and then you're telling me that it matches, and you're saying it couldn't work on a flat Earth. I just explained how it objectively can work on a flat Earth, and a magnetic flux goes perfectly around the center of a plane.
No, you didn't. So again, if we're on the planet, we can measure where the gravitational or the magnetic field is actually traveling. We can measure where is the North Pole, where is the South Pole, and we can say, well, what is the shape of the magnetic field around the Earth? We can measure it. We can use magnets and compasses to actually say, well, where is the magnetic field? But where do the curves go? What is the shape of the field? Now, if the world is flat, the shape is a bunch of bubbles, a bunch of up and down bubbles in random places on the Earth. That's what the shape is if the world is flat. If you curve it out like a ball, then it makes perfect sense. It looks exactly like every other magnetic field that we have. If
you measure magnetic fields with compasses, and then you measure magnetic fields with compasses, and then you wrapped it around a ball.
No. So
yeah, that's what you're saying.
The world is flat. we can measure what the magnetic field is. And if the world is flat, then the magnetic field has these big bumps in it for no reason on the world. If the world is flat, and why is it going up and down here for no reason? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's all manifestations within the overall toroidal magnetic field, and the Earth is the inertial plane.
So again, if we look
it does mean something.
No, because again, if we look at every single magnetic field, the small ones that we create with magnets, they have a very specific shape. There's a big bump over here. There's a big bump over here. There's a
toroid, dude, yes.
Yeah, so it has this shape. Now on a flat Earth, there's a problem because we can see this shape on the world. We can measure this shape on the world, but it's kind of like this. There's a problem because now you have magnets everywhere. There has to be a magnet on every single point on the planet, different magnets to create different fields in order to explain that. Or the world is globe.
Okay, well, you'd have to cite to me where you took compasses and measured the magnetic field, and that it wasn't part of a bigger manifestation.
I don't need to cite that. It's obvious.
Well, because compasses don't measure magnetic fields.
Yes, they do.
So we can move on. I've made my point.
No, I'm not going to move on. I just disproved your argument.
You haven't cited it. You're making a broad claim.
I don't need to cite anything. I just disproved your argument.
No, you did what I prefaced the argument, the debate by saying you can't shift the burden of proof to a straw man model and tell me since you don't understand.
No. I didn't straw man anything. So again, the argument is that if we look at a magnetic field, it has a shape, a particular shape. If we measure the shape of the magnetic field around Earth, it also has a shape.
And I asked, how do you do that? Can you cite it? You said compasses. That's patently false.
Lots of different ways. Compasses.
Not with compasses. So
you're an idiot. So again, that's just one way to measure a magnetic field.
I'm an
idiot. To the north,
okay.
Points to the south. Yes, that's what compasses do. They measure the magnetic field. That's what they're reading.
Well,
yeah.
Well, yeah, they point.
Do you want me to explain to you how a compass works?
They point north. They don't measure the magnetic field.
Oh my God, you're an idiot. If it points north, then it's reading something to point north. Is it?
Okay, so now you know the central point source of the magnetic toroidal manifestation. It has an inertial plane that could act as the Earth. Military declassified documents, assuming electromagnetic. Let me respond. You have to keep cutting me off. You have to keep cutting me off.
Let's hear from
electromagnetic propagation over a flat Earth, assuming a dielectric plane, and used for practical usability for direct energy weapons. So you're saying that when it comes to practical usability, that assumption's utilized, but the reading of the magnetic flux itself isn't consistent with that. And I'm asking you to cite it, and you're just saying you don't have to. Okay, well, again, fair enough.
We can literally measure the shape of the electric field. We can literally measure the shape of electric fields on small magnets. If they're the same, which magnetic fields are magnetic fields, they all have the same shape, then there's a problem for your model. Because on the Earth model, there's these funny little donut-shaped bubbles everywhere. Whereas on the globe model,
what Earth model are you talking about?
Just if the world is flat and we are measuring what the shape of the magnetic field is, and we assume the world is flat, and we apply the shape of the magnetic field to a flat Earth, then you get all these bubbles. There's a problem.
Wouldn't you have to know how big the Earth is?
No.
You wouldn't have to know. So how far out are you measuring this magnetic field? Where does it stop being measured? How do you apply that proportionately to land layout?
The oceans and things where we've measured continents and stuff.
You would have to know how far you would have to know the proportionate relationship of the electromagnetic field.
I don't think you understand the logic here. So
I understand you're claiming that it manifests a way that's impossible on a flat Earth. I'm asking you to provide some evidence of how so.
So again, it's like, if it doesn't matter how big the Earth is, we can just assume it's 10 feet. It's going to get the same result because you get the same measurement if the world is 10 feet or 10 billion miles. Wherever the points are, but we're measuring, no matter how far away they are, you still get the same shape, a bubble shape. Which is the problem because it's not the same shape as the magnetic fields we see in the magnetic.
The magnetic flux is measured in a revolution. Would you agree? It rotates.
Magnetic flux? Flux is a change.
Yes, and when it's mapped out, you can project it onto a plane, and it goes in a perfect circle around the center. This is provable, not debatable. This is the worst argument I've ever heard.
Two bubble shapes around the sides. It doesn't. I don't know. There's not flux. Flux is a change.
I'm more than content for the third-party viewer to know that I've responded. There's a toroidal manifestation. Earth acts as the inertial plane. Now, if you want to disagree, it's cool. I'm not going to debate for 2 hours as to what you think about that because I've asked for specific evidence. You've said you don't need to provide it, and you're just saying vague and ambiguous claims about how electromagnetism works, even though I've already refuted it.
Yeah, so we can move on. All that nonsense pretty easily.
Okay,
I don't need to cite any sources here.
If that's what you think,
the shape of a magnetic field, we can demonstrate it. You can do the experiment in your basement. This is easy. Take a magnetic field, go look at the shape. Then you can just measure the magnetic field around the Earth and then compare the two shapes. You get a problem. One is these funny little bubble shapes if the world is flat. And the other one is, oh, it matches the exact same shape as every other magnetic field we see, which
Okay.
is if the world is a globe. So we
Okay.
can prove that this flat earth nonsense is complete garbage and that it's
Okay.
pretty much
Yeah.
round.
Well, that in part is what's being challenged. No one's disputing toroidal manifestation. If you would like to provide evidence as to how that is actually the case.
Manifestation has nothing to do with the topic.
Hold on, let's.
You brought up how you could see it in a local demonstration. You could see it and then go apply it to what happens on the Earth. That's what you just said. I'm not disputing the first part. It's well known and established how magnetic fields operate. I'm saying, can you provide evidence to your additional claim that it doesn't work on a flat Earth? You just saying it means nothing. You're sitting here saying it does this. It wouldn't work on a flat Earth. It's not. Okay. Again, personally, I'm not going to keep on going in circles with you about it.
This is pretty simple. Like if you,
the third party knows. The third part.
If you're too dumb to understand this, if you take any object, just draw a triangle. You can draw a triangle on a flat plane, and you can draw a triangle on a circle plane. They have different properties. Like the angle size on a triangle in a flat plane is 180. The angle size on a circle, a ball, is greater than 180. So drawing the same shape on a flat plane and on a circle makes them different. They are different properties now. So if we can measure the shape of the magnetic field on just a magnet that we hold in our hands, and we draw that on a flat Earth, it's a different shape than if we draw it on a round Earth. Does that make sense?
Well, it's just patently false. I've already addressed it.
How
if
is that
you
false?
have you looked at a ferromagnetic? Have you looked at a magnetic field through a ferro?
Explain to me how that is false.
Well, you're really bad about cutting people off, dude. If you look at a magnetic field through a ferrocell, you will see there is an inertial plane through the center. If you want to dispute that, go for it. Can we please move on to the fact that
no, we can't move on because
you can't prove your globe Earth, so you want to divert.
I've already proved it. I'm asking for clarification. How is it not true? Like, do you understand that if I draw a triangle on a flat plane and I draw a triangle on a circle, they have different angles, right? They're different shapes, correct?
Yeah.
So if we draw the shape of the magnetic field that we measure around the Earth, and we can draw that on a flat plane, and we draw it on a round plane, they're different shapes, just like the triangles.
What's a round plane?
It's just a round sphere.
Okay. That's redundant. We get it.
Okay.
I am asking you to provide evidence.
Question. Stop
I'm asking you. You said they measured magnetic field with compasses and it does this on a flat Earth. I promise you're stupid. I'm sorry.
You're not answering the question.
Sorry, some of us don't operate at that low of a level, dude.
Stop your gibberish. Answer the question. If we draw a triangle on a flat plane and we draw it on a sphere, they're different shapes. So if we measure the shape of the magnetic field around the Earth and we draw it on a flat plane and we draw it on a round sphere, you get different shapes, don't you? Just like
no, because the plane is the middle of the magnetic field for the 20th time.
You're so dumb.
Okay, there's your response. Everyone knows your response is an ad hom. Now can we move on?
Center of the field. If the plane is the center of the field, then you have these bumps going up and down on the center of the field because you measure different rates of.
Yes, you have different flux of energy within the overall toroidal field.
Which means you get different shapes, just like the triangles.
You don't seem to be following. If you call me dumb, that's your. Okay, fair enough. We'll let you go with that one.
So it's
great opener, dude. Great opener.
So it's really easy. Like if we're standing, like if me and you take a compass and we both go north, if we're standing in the northern hemisphere, we're going to get closer together every time. And if we're standing in the southern hemisphere and we go south, we're going to get closer together every time. If the flat Earth was right and there's just one kind of northern center somewhere, then if we go south, we're going to get farther away from each other no matter where we go, which is demonstrably false. So we know the shape of the magnetic field around the Earth has to be different on a flat Earth than a globe Earth, because in the globe there's two centers, and in the flat Earth there's not. So there
the globe Earth is a fairy tale. So here's the deal. Can we move on, please? Because I've already presented my argument. I've presented my argument articulately more than once. If anyone wants to go fact check what I said, please do. If he offers citation, I'd be happy to look at it, but he won't. So anyway, I just think it's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's fair. You made tons of claims in your opener, and now you've honed in for however long we've been doing this on one where I immediately responded. So if you offer some physical evidence that's been demonstrated physically that you can cite, I'll look at it. Your mouth isn't physical evidence. So you also claimed that we know the shadow of the Earth on the moon.
I'm not there yet. So I'm still on this one point.
Oh my.
So again, if anyone on the Earth, like 10 people, stand in the northern hemisphere, get a compass, all walk north, they all get closer together. Stand in the southern hemisphere, walk south, you all get closer together. Now, if the world is flat, that's physically impossible without magic. So there has to be some difference between the magnetic fields in a globe Earth and a flat Earth, because the globe Earth has 2 poles, 2 center points, and the flat Earth does not have 2 center points.
Right.
So they can't be the same shape.
You're right, bro. They're not the same. And for the 10th
That
time.
was my argument the entire time. They are not the same shape. If you map out the shape of the magnetic field on a flat Earth, it's a different shape than on a globe Earth.
But
oh my God. Thank you. Thank you for just admitting what we were saying for the past 10 minutes. Idiot.
This is bad. For the 10th time, you're right. They wouldn't be the same on a globe Earth and flat Earth.
Yes.
Obviously, they're different.
Oh.
The center, if the center is the magnetic source, the Earth is the inertial plane. The field emanating from the center will go above and below said plane. This is provable through Ferrell-Sell's observations of magnetic fields. You don't have to understand it. Can we move on, please?
So you just admitted they are different. If you draw it out on a flat Earth and you draw it out on a globe Earth, they're different. Oh my God. Thank you for admitting what I've been saying for the past 20 minutes. So because we know they're going to be different shapes on a flat Earth and a globe Earth, we can actually compare the 2 shapes. Like if the world is flat, you draw out the shape. Does it look like the same shape as the magnets we're holding in our hand? No.
Yeah.
No, that's remember different shapes. They have to be different shapes. Remember?
Efficacy of application of the data of the magnetic field is in question. If you would like to provide it, I will look over it. I guarantee you won't provide it. I talk to Globers daily. You will never provide it. You're just talking, making claims. Can we move on, please, to physical demonstrations?
I just did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yes,
Okay, what? Okay, you just provided 7. Are you claiming you just provided scientific evidence for the globe Earth?
I provided a scientific test you can do. Yes.
Okay, so what was the hypothesis?
The hypothesis is the world is round, not flat.
Okay, what independent variable are you manipulating?
I'm not manipulating any independent variable.
So, then that's what science is, bro. You have to have a cause that you are substantiating.
Independent variable in science means a variable that can change under certain conditions that is independent of the experiment. So that's not what it is. So what I'm doing is I'm saying I'm going to have a hypothesis, make a testable prediction, confirm the testable prediction. That's what I'm doing. So I'm saying if our world, if there's a magnetic field around the Earth and there's a magnetic field around a magnet, and those magnetic fields all have the same shape generally. And so if the magnetic field around the Earth and the magnetic field around the magnet have the same shape, and we can map out the magnetic field around the Earth, and we can draw it, like if the world is flat, we draw it, it's going to get a different shape than if we draw it if the world is round. So when we haven't measured anything, we're just saying, if the world is flat, we're going to draw what the magnetic field looks like. And if the world is round, we're going to draw what the magnetic fields look like just by what we're measuring the shape of the magnetic field to be.
Right.
So,
this is measurement isn't science. Description of the Earth isn't
measurement
science.
is science. Measurement is literally one of the things in science.
No, it's literally an abstract description inherently by the definition.
Is not abstract.
Let's give Austin some time as well now. We'll go back to Austin.
Again, I'm just saying, well, what I'm saying is, yes, math is by definition abstract. It's used to describe. Yes. It is very useful because we can use it to replicate things.
Measurement
we gotta. It's okay if you wanna rebut him after, but we have to give him let's give him a little time to kind of get his case out.
Sure, and to just go ahead and address it. Measurement isn't math, was your claim. Yes, it literally is. Now, the difference is you're taking a literal physical material demonstration and you're measuring it. Fair enough. That doesn't mean that the material isn't real, but what you have there as the measurement is just a metrical representation. It's just a description. Science explains things. Math describes things. So you're telling me a description of what you think the magnetic field should look like, and you were conflating it to scientific evidence. And I'm trying to get to the heart of the issue. Can we get some physical, scientific evidence of the globe?
I'm not saying what the shape should be. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we take the actual shape we know magnetic fields are, like the magnetic fields in our hands, we know what the shape of the magnetic field is. This is a measurement. We're measuring the thing. This is science. This is not an abstract description. We're taking the actual magnetic field around a magnet and saying, this is the shape of what a magnetic field looks like. And then we measure the magnetic field around the Earth. We can test it in lots of different ways. And we take that data and we draw it like as if the world was flat. You get a different shape than the magnet rolling in our hand. If you draw it around the globe Earth, you get the same shape. So that's all measurable. That's not like an abstract there. That's just, we can say, here's the data for the magnetic field around a magnet. Here's the shape. Here's the data for the magnetic field around the Earth. Now, if it's flat, you get a different shape than the magnet in our hands. You're comparing the two. That's called science.
Yeah. No, it's not. When you map things out, that isn't science. You are the question of the debate. You're begging the question. and then you're taking the model, which is a begging the question fallacy and a reification fallacy and a magical. It's literally not science. Models aren't science. And you are you're taking the data based on the confinement of what you say the land is, and then you're mapping it out on the spherical assumption. I'm asking for physical empirical evidence of the spherical assumption.
No, I'm not making any assumptions here. I'm assuming.
So the best you have is inference. You have no physical evidence.
No, I'm taking both. You take both hypotheses. You say if the world is flat, you take the data, you draw it as if the world is flat, because we see the data, we draw it out as if the world is flat. We're not like making an assumption that this is how it would look if the world was flat. We're saying we can actually measure the magnetic field and of different points of like what is the magnetic field at different points on the Earth. So if the world is flat, then at this point the magnetic field is this, at this point the magnetic field is this, and this point the magnetic field is this. We can literally just draw it out if the world is flat. It doesn't really matter what shape you get, it's always going to get the different wrong answer. So this is not just like inference. We're not just assuming what the magnetic field might look like if the world is flat. We're saying here is what we know the magnetic field looks like. And if the world is flat, we can draw out what we know it looks like in reference to the surface of the Earth.
Is that entirety of the magnetic field what you drew out?
Is that the entirety of the measurements?
Is that the entirety of the field?
No, there could definitely be more.
Exactly. You don't even know. So what are you presenting?
What is that?
You're presenting a guess, dude.
No. Again, I'm only presenting the stuff we've measured. So the stuff
but we don't know what the entirety of it is.
Right, there could be all kinds of bubble shapes outside of there, but that doesn't in any way help your case.
No, it could, because if it has a bigger manifestation and there's flux within, but it's toroidal and there's an inertial plane, that would work perfectly on a geocentric stationary plane. And the military documents substantiate what I'm saying, and you've cited nothing, and you're just speculating.
No. It doesn't. There's no like bubble shapes in the middle of a magnetic field in one we're holding in hand. It doesn't happen. So if there's bubble shapes in the flat Earth one, and then other stuff on the edges, that's still a problem. You still have this bubble shape in the middle of the magnetic field that doesn't work because it's not anywhere in any magnetic field we see. So that still doesn't work. So if we're just using the stuff we've measured, there's a bubble shape in the middle of the magnetic field, which is not possible in any magnetic field we've seen, which is a problem.
Okay, so the stuff you measured, do you have to then apply it to terra firma?
You don't apply it to anything. You just say, if you take this shape and you draw it out from the surface of the Earth, say, well, here's the magnetic field we measure here on the Earth. Here's the magnetic field we measure here on the Earth. And we just take from the surface of the Earth, we draw what it looks like from the surface of the Earth, and you can change the surface of the Earth, the shape, to see, well, what would be the different shapes that it's going to produce. So you're not really applying it to anything. You're just taking the shapes and measurements and just referencing it to the surface, regardless of whether it's flat or surface.
Referencing it to the surface was how you ended your response, and my question was about terra firma, but you said no. So can we please, dude, I've given my answer. You can say it's not sufficient. It objectively is. We can agree to disagree. Can we get on to physical evidence of the globe? I don't want to just talk about what you misinterpret about magnetic fields for 2 hours, dude.
So no, I'm not applying it to terra firma. Terra firma is Earth. Like, no, I'm applying it to a surface, any surface. Doesn't matter what surface you apply it to. I'm not applying this to Earth. I'm applying it to a surface. You can take the shapes, apply it to a flat surface, you get a different shape than if you apply it to a globe surface, which you admitted to, which means that we can actually say, well, which one of these shapes is like the magnet?
What I admitted is the overall manifestation would obviously be different on a globe Earth and a flat Earth. That's what I said. Yeah, cool straw man. So can we get to the physical? Wait, now that I've given you, you've led the topic and the whole thing, right? Like you.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay, thanks, man. So this is another one of your claims, one of the 50 that you monologued. That's why I'm trying to speed it up. You said, we know that it's a ball because of the Earth's shadow being cast onto the moon in eclipses. So you presuppose causality of eclipses being physical obstruction. So you have to explain the three-body problem, which is a known issue, and you have to presuppose the spherical nature of the physicality.
That's not my argument.
Wait.
So the argument is that if we see that there's a shadow on the moon, and if we take a light bulb, a tennis ball, and a golf ball, we can replicate the shadow. So we can replicate the observation.
How do you know it's a shadow?
Because it's a giant dark spot. That's
okay, so you don't know it's a shadow.
That's literally what a shadow is. It's just a giant dark spot.
Actually, what a shadow is an absence of light caused by physical obstruction.
That's what dark is the absence of light.
Okay, so you're presupposing that it's a shadow on there. Could it be something that's just darker?
Could it be something
exactly.
that's dark? What do you mean? Like
I don't know. I'm not offering. I'm not replacing your fairy tale. I prefaced the debate with that. I'm saying.
I'm clarifying what your question is, not about the thing. So
you are you, in order to make your point right now, dude. It has to be a shadow. Okay.
So all I mean by shadow is darker light. So there's not light going there. That's what I mean by shadow, not light.
Yeah, no shadow requires physical obstruction. What you're saying is the Earth is causing physical obstruction of the light casting a shadow onto the moon. That's your claim. You can't substantiate that there's physical obstruction.
So there's more light going to one spot than the other spot, so something is blocking the light. Yeah.
No, you're just assuming that what's dark is being obstructed, that light's being obstructed to cast that shadow.
Well, yeah,
now, even if I go
light
along with your fairy tale, this is my point. Can you explain the stellanillion eclipse? Because you tout your model's predictability as if it predicts eclipses, so we should believe it, because the globe Earth predicts eclipses. It predicts and understands and explains eclipses. That's what your claim is. But it doesn't. It doesn't even explain the stellanillion eclipse.
Well, what I'm saying is we can replicate the data by doing an experiment here on Earth. So yeah, it's a shadow.
It doesn't matter, dude.
Wait. So it's a shadow because we can see that there's a light part on one side and a dark part on the other side. And if it wasn't a shadow, then somehow the light is stopping in the middle for no reason. And it can't just be like a black sheet there. Because
no, you're presupposing three-body relationship.
No.
Why does the light have to stop anywhere? What are you talking about? How do you know that the light? You're also presupposing light for the moon's reflecting light. Yeah.
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 Presupposition. That's
yes, it is.
We can see it. It's reflecting light. That's literally what it means.
What if it's self-illuminating?
That's fine too. There's still going to be a shadow.
Well, no, it could be something else that it does. Maybe it stops giving off part of its light. I don't have to replace your fairy tale. My point is, can you explain the stellanillion?
We can grant that. So let's say maybe the moon is giving off light, and some part of it is giving off light, and some part of it isn't. There's still a problem there, because the light stops at some point. It's not like if you take a flashlight and you turn it on, it all goes in one direction, right? But if you take a light bulb and turn it on, it goes in every direction. So there's got to be something that stops the light, which is what a shadow is. So there's still a shadow on the moon. So we can still know it's still a shadow.
No, we can't. So there could be something in the sky that's dark that causes obstruction. That's causing
what a shadow is.
No, it's not. No. Yeah, okay. It isn't casting a shadow. It could be fading out the light. If you want to call it that.
Yes. The shadow could be caused by internal things in the moon. So
okay, right. And so that's why I'm trying to get to the heart of the issue. I'm not trying to have a dishonest conversation. I'm trying to actually get to the heart of the issue. You're right. The whole point is that you're saying that, well, look, our model explains eclipses, right? And so the issue is, well, if we have an eclipse that occurs that doesn't work with that model, you can't just expect us to accept the explanation. It's a three-body explanation where there's physical obstruction, but we have an eclipse that the model doesn't work with. It's called the impossible eclipse. It's called the stellanillion eclipse. So how can you tout predictability or explanation? Do what?
What does it have to do with the moon? Like,
it's a lunar eclipse.
Okay, how does it not explained by
the heliocentric model? Yeah, because the sun and the moon are both above the horizon during the lunar eclipse.
What?
Yeah.
Explain how that isn't explained by science.
Well, you claim lunar eclipses are when the Earth causes physical obstruction of the sunlight and then casts a shadow onto the moon. How could that happen if both the moon and the sun are above the horizon?
There are other things in between the sun and the moon.
So the Earth isn't causing the obstruction of the lunar eclipse.
Shadows can be caused by lots of things. That's explained by physics.
So the lunar eclipse isn't caused by the Earth's shadow.
The shadows can be caused by lots of things. You don't need.
So I guess what I'm asking is your rebuttal right now that in that scenario, Earth isn't causing the obstruction?
Well, the only thing I know about your scenario is that you said there's a shadow on the moon and the Earth isn't between the sun and the Earth. Okay, well, shadows can be caused by other things. Like, I don't know if the specific example you're listing.
It's called the stellanillion eclipse. It's a lunar eclipse, and then there's a shadow, what you call a shadow, on the moon, and the sun and the moon are above. SELELENION. And I know your side's explanation. I just know that most people don't. So simply, it's physically impossible, bro. The Earth can't be physically obstructing it if the sun and the moon are both above the horizon, not behind you.
The eclipse occurs when the moon moves into the Earth's shadow. Okay. SEL. So how you spell it again? SEL.
SELENELION.
The stellanillion or stellanillion occurs when both the sun and sun and an eclipsed moon can be observed at the same time. This can only occur just before the sunset or just after the sunrise, when both bodies will appear just above the horizon at nearly opposite points in the sky. This arrangement has led to the phenomenon being called the horizontal eclipse. Typically, a number of high tides, high ridges undergoing sunrise and sunset can view it, although the moon and Earth's umbra, both the sun and the eclipsed moon, can be simultaneously seen because atmospheric refraction. Oh, okay, that's how it's done.
Okay, so we showed you live time for the viewer. This is how you go about what you think. You just read what Google said, and you said,
But
"Oh,
you said
that's
it
how
can't
it's
be
done."
explained, right? Like,
Well, I'm
that's
about
an
to explain why it doesn't explain it, but I'm just making a point. You just automatically believe that because you're presupposing that you know the Earth is a ball, and that's the issue. If you never look at it honestly, you'll...
So you just said it can't be explained. Like, whether or not the explanation is true or not isn't relevant. If it can be explained, that's
no,
an
it can't.
explanation.
It can't though. I'm about to explain.
Okay, go for it.
So that's the official explanation.
Yeah.
But it isn't the entire explanation, unfortunately. So we have the sun and the moon above the horizon. What you just read claims they're not actually above the horizon. They're actually both below the horizon. But they refract up above and just appear like they're above the horizon.
Yep.
What about the shadow? How does the shadow refract? Can shadows refract?
Shadows are a lack of light. So the lack of light and the actual light on the other side are refracting the same amount, because there's light going in one way, a lot of light going in one way that reflects off the moon and reflects back, and not as much light going reflecting off the other side and reflecting back. And that light on one side and the lack of light on the other side are both reflecting the exact same rate. So like there's not an issue there. Yes, if you have like particles on one side that refract and they don't refract on the other side, you get a shadow. It's like if you take like an image, a piece of paper, and you cut out a shape in it and you shine a light bulb through it, the light through the image is going to refract uniformly. So you're going to still get the same image on both sides. Like, yes, shadows and light are going to refract the same because it's all just light.
No, shadow's the absence of light, though. So let me explain it to you why this doesn't work. Well, no, you're trying to figure it out live time right now.
No.
And I feel you're not doing too bad of a job.
Give me like 5 seconds. Give me like 5 seconds.
Okay.
So what is refracting is the light, and the light is refracting where it goes, and where it doesn't go is not light. So everything that's refracting there is just light. So it's all going to refract the exact same shape, whether there's light or not light.
Okay, so here's the deal. If the ball's here, and the sun's here, and the moon's over here, they appear above the horizon, but they're not actually. And then the Earth's causing the obstruction. The obstruction is what causes the shadow, right? That's what makes the absence of light. But then that absence of light also has to get lifted and refracted with the other two celestial bodies, and shadows cannot refract. That is a property of light.
I think I see what you're saying. So the Earth and the moon, like the Earth is in between the sun and the moon, and the light from the sun hits the Earth and then creates a shadow on the moon. Some of the light then gets refracted above the Earth. Not all of it. It's not every part of the entirety of all light that's being refracted. It's just some of it. It's the reflection that's being refracted, not the all light from the sun. So the light from the sun is still creating a shadow on the moon, and then some of the light is being refracted up in the atmosphere, which is why you can see the sun and the moon. It's not like it's refracting all of the light.
I understand the idea, even though it's clearly a grasp of stars. Oh, it's the only explanation. You have to say they got refracted up. That's the only way to explain it. But dude, that doesn't explain why the shadow moved too. It simply doesn't. It doesn't, because the shadow requires physical obstruction to cause the absence of light. It itself cannot refract. It's nothing in and of itself. It's a privation. It's a very big issue for the globe model. It doesn't necessarily disprove the globe model, but to go around and tout the globe model as if it's perfect and makes perfect predictions is pretty laughable. It literally doesn't. It's still a working model.
It does make perfect predictions. How is that an issue? So like the refraction, when you can see the sun and the moon, is only like the people on those one part of the Earth. Like everything else in the universe doesn't see this eclipse. It's just people who are standing in that one part of the atmosphere where the atmosphere is bending the light in that way. So the shadow on the moon doesn't see the eclipse. The sun doesn't see the eclipse. Only people standing on Earth in the atmosphere see the eclipse. So the shadow on the moon is still going to be there just like it is every other time. Like, why is this a problem?
You're saying that the moon is going to move up and the shadow's just going to stay with it.
The moon doesn't move at all. The moon is still in the same spot. It's the
apparent location of the moon moves up and the shadow just moves with it.
What are you talking about? So the moon is still the same spot, still the same as it is every part of the year. It's not like
so the image of the shadow is being refracted up with the refraction of light. That can't happen. It's the absence of light. So it can't be geometrically predicted. I think I made my point.
So light is reflected, and so if there's a lack of light, that's also going to be refracted at the exact same rate because it's just less photons. It's less
Okay,
light.
so absence of light can be refracted.
Absence of light is just less photons. So less photons and more photons are both going to be refracted at the same rate.
Okay. If you want to stick with that one, dude, whatever, we can move on.
A shadow isn't perfect blackness. Perfect blackness is no photons. So if you have a shadow where there's less light, that's less photons, and less photons is going to be refracted at the same rate as the more photons. So yes.
Okay, so the shadow it does still have light. We can only see a bit of the light,
Right.
and it gets refracted proportionate up to the moon.
Proportionate up, it gets refracted at the same
In
rate as all the other
relationship
light.
with what?
I don't know what you mean by proportionate to the moon. It gets refracted at the same rate as all the other light. Like all the light is being refracted
Yeah,
at the same rate.
proportionate. Okay. So yeah, in a relationship with it. If that's what you want to say. Okay. So it can't be geometrically predicted. And
What?
it happens on occasionally. It geometrically based on the three body relationship, it can't be predicted. It happens, and then they explain it away with refraction, saying that shadows can also refract, like you just attempted to do the mental gymnastics to explain, and then act like I was stupid.
It's explained by the atmosphere, so it wouldn't be the three bodies. It would be the three bodies and an atmosphere that refracts light.
Of course, the three bodies are inherently relevant to your explanation.
Just three bodies wouldn't explain it. It's three bodies plus the atmosphere that would explain it. So
Well, yeah, but without the three bodies, you don't have any explanation. So anyway, the main point here was you pointed out eclipses as if they prove the globe or Earth. They don't. And I preface the debate, bro. Physical demonstration. The only one you've offered is an imitation of an eclipse, where we have to presuppose the physical nature of these bodies and the sphericity of them. I'm asking you, can you physically demonstrate the physical claims made by the globe Earth itself? Is there any way on Earth that I can go out and locally demonstrate that water will bend convexly around the exterior of a spinning object spinning? I mean, if not, that's cool. Just concede. If not, you can say it's hard to get to scale the Earth, whatever.
Yeah, you can just buy a telescope, look at the planets.
That is not what I asked. I asked for a physical demonstration that can be
demonstration. Physically, the gases are literally around the ball in space. That's a physical demonstration.
A physical demonstration that can be replicated here on Earth, that we can
look up at it
independently.
as many times as you want. It's going to get
Observation is not science, dude.
Yes, it is. It literally is.
Observation is science. That's your claim.
Observation is one of the things in science. Yes.
It's the first part. It's the first part of science.
Sure.
It's the dependent variable, and then you have an independent variable. You manipulate it to substantiate cause and effect relationship. That's what a hypothesis is. It is a cause and effect
Hold
relationship.
on. Let's just for sure hear the rest from Austin. I promise we'll come right back to you.
Yeah. Verify cause and effects relationship by manipulating the cause. That's what science objectively is, yes?
You can't manipulate the cause. I have no idea what you're even saying. So science is just testable predictions.
No. Science, dude, natural science, you have a dependent variable, and then you manipulate a independent variable in an attempt to verify that it is the cause of your effect, which is the dependent variable.
You manipulate an experiment to see if you can replicate the results. That's what you mean by an independent variable. Experiment.
In order to substantiate claim to causation, you must manipulate said causation to substantiate it is in fact the cause. Pointing to the sky is not scientifically, physically demonstrating to me.
Manipulate causation. Like what? Causation is not like something we can change.
Yeah, water boils.
We got another volume difference. I hate to interrupt, guys. I would say it's kind of the same thing where, Austin, if you're willing to turn yours down a bit, and then Tom, if you could turn yours up just a bit. For some reason, you guys kind of diverge as the debate goes. But also a point where I can remind you folks that both Tom and Austin are linked in the description. In case you didn't know that, you can hear plenty more where this is coming from. Thanks, guys.
Well, you asked for physical things you could do. I listed about 10 of them in my opening. One was just the pendulum thing.
The pendulum. The pendulum. Okay. Well, then you can see that there is nothing that we can do here on Earth where we can replicate water bending around a ball and spinning and based on proportionate mass.
We can do that. I mean, it's just going to be expensive. You just have to build a plasma container to do that. But yeah, you can.
So no one's ever done it.
Yeah, we have done it. We've literally done it.
So you could cite right now physical demonstration showing water bend convexly to the exterior of a spinning object.
Gases, yeah.
Okay, well, we're talking about water.
Gases are less dense than water, so it's
Yeah, that's even more of a problem for you because you're saying that the immensity of the density of the oceans are bending convexly based on proportionate mass.
Bending convexly.
Yeah, around the
tides.
No. The water overall bends around the ball. It's okay, dude. The answer is no. I've looked for it. There's nothing such thing.
Yeah, we can literally demonstrate that happening. Like we've done gases. We can show gases can be contained in a plasma container. So every nuclear reactor does that. So not a problem.
Okay, so now
We
you're
can put
not.
water in it if you want. It's just going to turn into a gas because we're using high energy stuff.
Yeah. So water can't bend convexly around a spherical object using just gravity. At least it can't be physically demonstrated.
Let me clarify here. So
Simple.
the gas goes around the water and covers it and contains it like a bubble. So there's gas. Gas is a bubble, and the gas holds the water there, right? Does that make sense?
Sure, that isn't what we need, bro. Right? Like if you look at it non-biased, you're like the globe Earth. It makes these physical claims about reality, bro. I'm just asking you, like, just be honest, dude. The water has to go to the outside of the ball. Like the water, even though it always finds level, in this scenario it doesn't, and it's because of gravity. We need to find a way to replicate it on Earth where it can bend around the ball and stick to it while it's spinning. You could just say no. You can't offer a physical demonstration. A gas is non sequitur. It has very specific parameters that's outlined by your model. I don't have that cosmological interpretation. That's your parameters.
No, what I'm saying is that on the globe Earth model, what happens is you have water on the surface of the Earth, and the water is then contained by air because there's lots of air and gases going around the Earth, and it acts as a shield to protect the Earth from like evaporation and stuff. So the water is contained in a shell of gas. So if we can get gas to like go around a bubble or whatever to contain the water, yes, we can do that and show that here is a way to accomplish what you're asking for. And we can.
Sure. Well, if you want to offer it, when you find it, it doesn't exist. So, and it actually, that isn't the only causality.
Redditor just demonstrates this on his channel. Like, yeah, you can build a container of gases that can go around a surface being contained by just the gases. You can put water in it if you want, and that's fine.
Yeah, was that probably an attempt to substantiate that you could have gas pressure without physical containment, even though there was a container in the demonstration? But that's not even what I'm requesting. I'm requesting water itself. You're saying that it's because of the atmosphere. That's not what the globe model claims. You could imitate that if you wanted to. It claims it's because of the center of mass.
Well, no, you just asked, how is it possible? How is it possible to contain water on a spherical surface? One way it's possible is if you have a gas container. Like if you take the gas pressure and you put water inside of it and trap the water, that would be one way to do it.
Trap the water all the way down to the ball, then it starts spinning and it sticks to the ball.
Yeah, you just take gas and cover it with gas, and that would act as a container. Yeah, that would work.
But of course, that wouldn't be what the Earth is doing because the Earth is carrying the water.
I'm not saying what the Earth is doing.
Well, that's the whole point. I'm asking you to physically demonstrate the globe Earth.
You asked, give a physical way to demonstrate how it is possible to get water on a spherical object that is separated by like just in space, essentially.
No, I said while spinning based on proportionate mass. That's what I said.
I didn't say based on proportion to mass. I said here's a way to demonstrate that you can have water in a sphere that is just being held there without anything, like without a container other than just gas. Yes, we can do that.
Okay, so the answer is no.
So gravity is a different thing. Like I can't control gravity. Like if you're asking me to demonstrate gravity with a test that we can,
it would be hard.
Like we don't have gravity manipulation devices yet. Can't do that.
Yeah,
we can do
can't manipulate fairy tales. So yeah, you're right. You can't. You're right. It would be I will concede it would be a difficult demonstration. Like if this magic spinning ball was real, it would be a difficult demonstration. I just think it's weird that people can't concede anything nowadays. It's really weird. So you brought up something else about you brought up something else about a physical demonstration. Yeah, like a pendulum. That's what you brought up.
Pendulums on different sides of the hemispheres spin differently.
Right. The issue with that is that isn't an experiment, right? We discussed earlier. Like to really know that there's to really know something.
Experiment.
I'm saying to really know that something's the cause of the effect, you have to manipulate that cause, and then it changes the effect. That's what science is. It's called the scientific method. That's the study of natural science, physical science. You're making physical claims. You're not making philosophical claims or metaphysical claims. You're making physical claims. It has to fit to the parameters of physical, natural science. You manipulate the cause. In the pendulum, you just see an effect, and then you assume causation, consistent with your presupposed model. There is no correlation of cause and effect with the pendulum, and there's a plethora of other issues. No independent frame of reference. They have to be started. And then the location difference, specifically, there are alternative explanations for that, such as the flux of energy pertinent to location on Earth. Yeah. I don't want to even get into too speculative of a realm because I don't want to deal with it. But yes, surely there are alternative explanations. So simply put, all I have to say is it doesn't correlate cause and effect. It isn't scientific. You don't manipulate the cause. You presuppose the cause of differentiation or derivation.
So correlation and causation are different things. It seems like you just don't know what these terms mean and how they relate to science. Like science doesn't prove causation. It doesn't ever do that. It can't. It's just impossible. Causation is a philosophical concept, not a physical concept. What science does is it shows correlations and then we infer causation. So it doesn't ever show causation. It just says, if my hypothesis is true, here's a demonstrable test we can do. And if this test corresponds to the prediction I make, that's evidence that my hypothesis is correct. That's all it does. So if we can say, if I can make a prediction that the world is round and we put two pendulums on the two different sides and get different results, and we see that result, oh, that's evidence the world is round. That's just how it works. You don't need to prove causation. It's not how science works.
Okay, so what you're saying is you saw the pendulum move, and I'm just supposed to believe you as to why it moved.
Yeah, if I can make testable predictions, that's correct. So for example, just take any scientific prediction ever, like the cosmic microwave background, and we can predict that if the Big Bang happened or whatever, we can see these temperature variations in the cosmic microwave background. We look, say, oh, there are these temperature variations. Can those be explained by other things? Sure, I could just say there are magical pixie leprechauns up there who made the temperature differences because
That's basically what y'all say, yeah.
But the one that makes the prediction first is the one that gets the evidence. They get the credit. So the CMB gets it right, and the pixie leprechauns, even though they could explain it, isn't evidence. So whichever one makes the testable predictions gets the evidence.
Right. So you do concede, though, that it isn't actual reality. You're just the first one that came up with an explanation. And in addition,
that's how science works.
No. I just objectively stated how science works. You're changing it. You're saying you don't have to manipulate an independent variable. It's not about cause and effect, but I could probably offer 50 citations from universities that say natural science is the study of cause and effect relationship, and that you must have an independent and dependent and control variable.
Yes, that is study, but you can't affect the cause. You can't change the cause. They can't prove cause and effect. That's just philosophy of science 101. David Hume.
Is the independent variable cause?
No.
Okay, so we just have a fundamental disagreement. That's what the independent variable is.
Literally, you can't prove cause. It's just philosophy of science 101.
Okay, well, philosophy and science are completely non-related.
Philosophy of science, that's one field.
But what I'm saying is natural science is nothing to do with philosophical interpretation or correlation or induction.
It's literally all correlation and all induction. All science is just induction correlation, like all of it. There's no deduction in science.
Dude, you have not been peeping the Gleason, bro.
Like,
dude,
literally every university, every paper is going to say science is inductive. Induction evidence, all scientific evidence is inductive. All of it. Every single bit of it.
So basically, to summarize, all the evidence that you have, we just have to believe what you say is happening because you were the first one to say what's happening?
If I can make a prediction first and you can't, that means that my theory is more likely right, yes.
They didn't make a prediction with pendulums. That's not how that works. There was a huge window of error. There was a huge window of error. It wasn't consistent with the presupposed derivation at all. Have you looked into it? 1851, the first pendulum. So that's not sequitur.
Prediction. So they said the prediction wasn't exactly correct. It doesn't need to be exactly correct. It just needs to be more correct than everyone else. So like
it was the only one. It was presupposing axial rotation, and then it guessed what it would do. It was completely wrong, and then it updated it based on what they could generally accept as the average.
Yeah, so science makes a prediction. It tries to get it right. If it gets it wrong, it updates new data and makes a new prediction. Like that's how all science works.
Right. Don't you find it a bit unfounded to pretend that flat earthers are crazy people when you can't say anything other than we presented you an explanation and we were the first ones to do it? But no, we can't physically demonstrate that's actually the cause of what we're telling you. But just believe us. If not, we get to make fun of you on the internet and censor you.
No, because it's the exact same as every other science. Like the science that makes computers work, the science that makes telephones work, the science that makes everything work. It's the exact same thing. It's all just we made testable predictions which have a demonstrable result which they can replicate in machines. It's the same thing. So if you're saying that method is unreliable, well, then it's the same method we use for medicine and healthcare and engineering and cars and planes. So if you're criticizing that, yeah, you're crazy.
No, actually, I just said objectively what the study of natural science is, and that's the only thing relevant to this entire discussion because you're making
engineering, all that's natural science.
Okay, natural physical science is the only thing relevant to this conversation because you're making physical claims. We have an agreed upon parameters. We have a verification method. It's called the scientific method in natural physical science.
and I've explained objectively what it is, and you've argued about the interpretation, saying that you could never, ever prove a cause. And I'm sure you're under the philosophy that you can never prove anything. Science doesn't prove things. And that's just that's a scapegoat,
Correct.
right? It's a scapegoat.
What?
So so then by deduction, there is no scientific proof of the globe model.
There's no scientific proof of anything. We could all just be in a brain.
Wait, can
in a
you just
vat.
answer directly though? So that would mean by deduction, there's no scientific proof of the globe Earth
There's no
model.
scientific proof of anything. Science doesn't prove anything.
Okay, yeah, we get it. That's the talking point nowadays because y'all don't have any proof. But
wait, why do you think that's a scapegoat? Like, could we not be in a brain in the vat? Is that physically, like, logically impossible?
wait, could we not be what?
A brain in a vat, like we're in the Matrix. Like, so everything we're seeing is just a delusion of some kind. Like, that's possible, right?
I guess you could say anything's possible. I guess that fairies could pick me up out of bed in the morning,
Right.
but
That's why science can't prove anything with absolute certainty. It can't prove things.
I
like
don't
in
actually
logic.
agree though. I think that reality demonstrates itself to not be fluid and the necessary antecedent to creation as a creator, which is a different discussion. But I think everything is reality isn't fluid.
Do
I
you
don't
think
buy
science can
into
prove that?
that reality's not fluid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Can-
all
can science-
observable phenomena shows us that. So you would have to provide evidence counter to that. It's kind of
Right,
like when
I agree completely. I agree. The fact that everything we see is agreement with that's called induction. So like if you see white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, then you can assume the next one's also going to be a white goose. That's how induction works. That's why all science is induction. But it can't prove anything. It's not like math where 1 + 1 = 2 when it's necessarily the case. Science is all just induction. We look at all the examples and say, the next example is probably going to be the same. It doesn't prove anything.
You actually brought up a perfect example, right? The issue with induction is when you hinge your worldview on that, it implodes. Because, for example, you brought up, we'll use the swans, right? You got all swans are white. White swan, white swan, white swan. All swans are white. But then you find a black swan. All swans aren't white, although it was logically reasonable to assume that based on the information you had at the time. Okay, so, well, ironically, we actually do have an observation called the black swan. That's a geometrical impossibility on the globe Earth. I'm sure you're aware of it.
No, I don't think it's a geometrical possibility, but yeah, I still want to go on this thing.
You're aware of the argument, though. Yeah, I wasn't trying to divert the conversation. That's what I'm saying. So, okay, so is a geometrical impossibility, but anyway, the thing is, dude, science can prove things. We know a certain temperature that water boils. Okay, like we know that heat causes that water to boil. We can substantiate cause and effect relationships by manipulating the cause, dude. And if you're going to pretend that physical claims don't have to adhere to those parameters, but at the same time pretend that you can tout them as objective reality, that is crazy, bro. That is psychopathic. That makes no sense.
How do we know that water boils at the 200 degrees or whatever?
By repetitive observations of water reaching boiling at that heat.
So white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose, and we assume that the next one's going to be white goose. Is that right?
Well, if we could start making water boil without it reaching that degrees, then it would be different.
Well, right, but that's the thing is that it's using induction. It's saying we've seen it a whole bunch of times, and we're going to assume it's going to be the same in the future, right? That's what it's doing. That's how we know.
Yes, but this is the issue. We did manipulate the cause and see what the effect was. The globe Earth never even does that part. It skips over to the induction part. That's the fundamental disagreement we're having here. Like,
wait, I want to go back just to the induction part. So all science is just induction. So when it says the water boils at 200 degrees, the reason we know that is because we've seen it a whole bunch of times in the past, and we're going to assume it's going to continue to be that way in the future. So white goose, white goose, white goose, white goose. Next one's going to be a white goose. It actually doesn't always boil at 200 degrees. If you raise or decrease the pressure in the atmosphere, it'll actually change temperature. So, but that's the point, is that science is just induction. It's all induction. That's not a proof. It's just induction.
Okay, so basically, science is a philosophical realm in which we theorize strictly, and if we're the first ones to come up with a theory, we have dibs to it, no matter how preposterous or insane it is, and that can actually be conflated to physical evidence and physical claims of reality of where we live. That's where we're at. That's the best we got. Do we really not have any better than that? Because as a non-biased person, when I find out what the Earth is, that doesn't cut it for me. I need empirical physical evidence. I can go verify and replicate that show potentiality of the globe Earth's claims. None of it works, dude. None of it works, dude. The glue for the model is a reification fallacy. To pretend it's unfounded to question it is pathetic, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, do you believe in the theory of relativity, for example?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say time is physical?
Yes.
Time is physical.
Yes.
Please elaborate how so.
time is physical because we made the predictions that if time is physical, we can see that time and space bend under certain conditions. We can measure those conditions and make testable results and say, oh, look, it bends, so it's physical.
Okay. Well, no, the mathematical construct was one thing, and then Einstein changed the conceptual backing. And Lorentz transformations evolved into the theory of relativity. He changed the conceptual backing. What I'm saying is, you just said, well, since we said it was physical, it is. Time isn't physical. Time is a human construct we've used to quantify existence, right? Like, we measure passing, and we've quantified it, like agreed upon parameters or increments. But it's just a construct. Time itself isn't physical. You can't bottle up time. Space itself is also a concept of a privation. It isn't physical either. And so to combine the two and then attribute physical properties to them is the literal definition of a reification fallacy, treating abstractions as if they were concrete.
So we come up with abstract ideas like the earth or whatever. And then we take those abstract ideas and apply them to things like, take an apple. An apple is an idea in our head. We have an idea of what an apple is. And then when we apply it to the world, we realize, oh, there's other things that were there that we didn't realize. Like it has seeds, or that it's a fruit, or that it grows, or that it has a lifespan. Like all of these properties are of the real thing that exists in the world. So we have an idea of time and space in our head, but no one cares what those are. Those don't matter at all. What matters is what are time and space in reality? And what they are in reality is physical objects. Our idea of time and space don't matter. Like that's the reification. You're taking this idea in our heads of time and space and thinking that means anything. They don't mean anything. What only thing that matters is what are they in reality? What they are in reality is measurable things that we can bend and weigh and compress.
No, yeah, right. But that is only under, you're saying basically if you get all the air out, that's what's there, I promise. But you can't substantiate that that's what's there. And in its inception, time and space both are concepts. Just because you've taken the concepts and then say that in fact they are real doesn't make them real. And the concepts I've just described is objectively what space-time is. The definition of the words didn't change. Time, the measurement of magnitude between 2 points, passing. That's what time is.
They did actually change. So the definitions did change. So time.
Well, they add physical properties to them, and then they attempted to quantify with the physicality assumption of space and give it volume, height, width, breadth. Yes, that is
what you meant. Like Lorentz transformations. Lorentz transformation is measuring a difference in time between two different observers. So it's not actually a straight line of time passing from one point to the next. It's not how it works in physics. That's not what time means in physics. So it's like this. So if I can say I have an idea in my head, whatever it is, square, circle, God, magic leprechauns, whatever you want, and I can say if my idea is in reality, then I should be able to predict something that we're going to see that we don't know yet. And if I can do that, and I can do it a lot and get it right a lot, that's good evidence that whatever my idea is, no matter how crazy it is true, because no one else can do it. No other ideas can do it. Only my idea can do it, or does it first. And so that's good evidence that my idea is correct.
That's not what happened. That's not even what happened.
That's exactly what happened. Einstein said, time can bend. If time can bend, I'm going to make predictions about gravitational waves and the curvature of light around the sun, the orbit of Mercury, and say, oh, hey, we can actually verify all these things. So I have this.
So there weren't any predictions prior to Einstein.
Predictions about time bending.
The sky.
Right?
The sky's reoccurring actually, and not all of Einstein's predictions worked. Like certain planets didn't cooperate within the Newtonian paradigm, or 98%. No, I understand it was predated. I understand it predated, but they still tout the Newtonian discovery, and then they take the Einsteinian application and say it doesn't work with 98. We can't explain what 98% of the universe is. It doesn't work on the cosmological or quantum scale. But I know it's real. And what I'm saying, it's an abstraction, bro. It's a concept. Is it pretty good if you want to think of it like that? Whatever. It doesn't matter. That's non sequitur to my point. There's no physical evidence for it. It's making physical claims. Time is not physical. Space is not physical. It doesn't matter how long you say it is. Can you substantiate that it is? Because something that isn't physical can't have physical properties, dude.
Yeah. So go back to I can do that. So go back to my original example. I have an idea in my head. Doesn't matter what it is, magic pixie leprechauns. And if my idea corresponds to reality, then I should be able to predict things and to know stuff before we know it. So I can predict that this is going to happen, something we've never seen before under these conditions. And if I get it right, and I get it right again and again and again, that's pretty good evidence for magic pixie leprechauns or whatever. So in Einstein's case, no one made any predictions about time bending before Einstein because everyone thought time was a philosophical
Time doesn't
concept.
bend, though.
So wait. So go back. So Einstein's magic pixie leprechaun is time bending. No one made predictions about time bending before that.
Okay.
Einstein said time bends, here are the predictions, and he got them right. No one else got them right. No one else could predict them. So everyone who thought time was a physical concept got them wrong. Einstein got them right. So that's good evidence, physical evidence that Einstein's interpretation, the idea in his head, is in reality.
The problem with that is it's a reification fallacy that treats abstractions and gives them concreteness, and there's no physical evidence to support that could happen. I don't care if you think it sounds good. It doesn't matter if he's the first one to do it. It's actually being basically reluctantly acknowledged to be fraudulent in modern proponents of your model. So, but nevertheless, it's a reification fallacy. Time is objectively not physical. It's a concept. It's a quantification. Math is abstract. It's a language. It's a description. Space is a concept of a privation. Like we discussed, a shadow is a privation. That's absence of light.
Those are reifications. So reification means you're taking an idea and applying it to something in reality. That's like a hypothesis is a reification. You say, I have an idea and I'm going to assume it's in reality. That's a reification. But then you confirm it with a testable prediction. The testable prediction isn't a reification. It's a literal thing that's occurring in the world. It's not a reification. So you say that if my hypothesis is correct, it'll cause this thing in the world that we can see and I get it right and you don't. That's inductive evidence that your idea is actually in the world. It's not a reification. So that's evidence it's not a reification.
I'll give Austin a chance to respond, but soon enough we'll probably go into Q&A. So whenever either of you is ready to defer to the other, if you're up for it. Otherwise, in maybe about 5 minutes or so, I'll bring us into the Q&A. Thanks, guys.
I'm good with the Q&A.
Okay, well then I just want to say one thing in conclusion. Basically, my issue still stands the same, bro. Like, we don't have any physical demonstrations that can show potentiality of these physical claims. Pointing to the sky, saying I know what it is, doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for anybody that's being honest. Time is not physical. It's a concept that measures magnitude between 2 points. Neither is space. It's a privation concept. You can't say they're curved. That's a physical property. It's reification fallacy, and that's the glue for the whole model. And we falsified the radius at 1 foot observer height, seeing far too far. It should be 1.2 miles, saw over 10. The radius would have to be over 250,000 miles. They then tried to explain refraction with 7/6R, which is actually extending the radius. So the only way to explain observable phenomena is to say that the Earth's size fluctuates constantly, but it's a ball, I promise. We don't know how to explain it, but we can't physically demonstrate it. But you're stupid if you don't believe it. We can physically demonstrate all of our physical claims. I think the logical stance is pretty easy to see. So.
One question, what do you mean by potentiality? Because potentiality means something exists and has the ability to change in some way. So if there's a potentiality of the globe Earth, that means it already exists. I think you mean potential, the potential possibility or something?
Yeah, sure. The possibility that those physical feats could ever even occur.
Okay, yeah. Because potentiality is a specific term in philosophy, means something different.
I think that it's well understood what I'm saying, that the potentiality of what you're postulating.
Oh yeah, I totally, yeah, you're right. We understand what you were trying to say, totally, for sure.
Okay, so nothing to the actual conversation.
We'll jump into the good old Q&A. I want to say we are excited, folks, as if you have not noticed at the bottom right of your screen, tomorrow we will have a debate on whether sex work is, whether or not it should be accepted, or maybe should we say, no, this isn't good. So that should be a hot button issue that we are excited for. Then we also have tomorrow, we've got a lot. So we've got 3 debates tomorrow. I'm going to die afterwards. So we've got, in the morning, we're also having a debate on whether or not trans women ought to be able to compete in women's sports. So that one will be another hot button issue. And then we also have one at night on whether or not male privilege is real. So it's going to be a wild one. Hopefully we will see you then. And with that, we will jump into these questions. Thanks so much, folks. Really do appreciate your questions. We're going to try to get through as many as humanly possible. And thanks for yours. iPhone Musings, thanks for your thank you sticker. Appreciate that support. Glad you're here. GPS, thanks for your question. Said, WitsIt, what is your evidence to support your positive claim that GPS doesn't come from satellites? Have you tested this for yourself?
GPS uses Cartesian coordinate points. So feel free to enlighten me how that proves a globe Earth.
Gotcha. Raven0, thanks for your question. Said, this is the problem with all... Here we go. Flat tards. Sorry. I'm just reading what it says. Love you. There's flat tards, globe tards, everybody. Okay, so they say this is the problem with you flat earthers.
You're good, dude. Say whatever.
We can give you all the answers, but if you lack the knowledge to understand certain answers, then why bother?
Yeah, just a vague claim that isn't true. So typically, actually, every time I have an interaction, I have to teach people about the globe Earth.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. This one comes in from P. Barnes. Asks, or states, in science, the burden of proof sits with those making the contentious claim, not those citing what's already been shown to be true.
Well, the obvious part in question there is shown to be true. So, yeah, we make one contrary claim. It's to the surface general description. We have substantiated the Earth consistently presents itself void of physical curvature. So, yeah, the burden of proof lies with those making positive physical claims.
Well, I also stands with people making negative claims too, but I didn't want to bring it up.
Gotcha. And Matthews, thanks for your question, said, WitsIt, you basically just said, quote, I have no evidence the Earth is flat, so don't ask, unquote.
No, that's the thing. I broke it down maybe after the super chat, but flat's a general description of the surface. And yes, we have substantiated that. It's void of physical curvature that should be there based on the geometrical claim of the ball Earth. Flat is not a model or a shape. We don't claim one. We don't have access to all the information. So again, that's a shift in the burden of proof. I substantiated my one physical claim.
Gotcha. And iPhone Musings, thanks for your other super sticker. You love the super stickers. Appreciate that. JPP3030, thanks for your question, said, I have never seen so many flatties triggered by Tom's factual introduction in chat.
It was just a whole bunch of vague claims.
That's right. Demonstrable tests that you can all do to show that the world is definitely a globe.
I need a drink.
Next up, did you need to take a drink before you?
No, I gotta respond. I started coughing, I don't know why, but no, dude, he was just saying explanations of observable phenomena, but not showing how they were physically substantiated.
Well, I gave literally the tests you could do, the physical substantiation. I told you how you could do them in the opening. It wasn't just me just giving examples. That was kind of the point of every one of the examples I listed.
No, but okay.
I'll give you a chance to respond to Austin because it was originally for you that super chat was, and then
it's no big deal. I'll just keep it quick. I just disagree. One of the examples. Oh, look, you can take balls and make an eclipse. You have to presuppose the balls.
Gotcha. I hate to ask, but because it does seem almost as if it does, literally, I do wonder if sometimes my mic does weird stuff. If you're able to kind of help me out, both of you, just by moving toward the middle. And then thanks for your question. This comes in from Shigawire, says, Tom is awesome as ever, but this super chat is dedicated to the excellent moderator James Coons. That's really, I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. And Syed Ahmad, thanks for your question, says, I hope TJump is substantiating ...
Yeah, but no, you can't just say it. It doesn't substantiate it. We need physical demonstrations to substantiate.
Oh no, I think they're on your side. I think they're saying that they are skeptical of whether or not Tom will substantiate.
Or they're making fun of. That's my favorite word, but you never know.
Yeah, I think Wits is right.
Tom, I can't hear you, bro. Even I can't hear you.
Testing.
Is this some sort of tasteless joke on us?
No, can you hear me now?
Now it's better.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea when I was doing that. So, yeah, definitely you could substantiate all the claims I make. You can build the pendulums. You can build the experiment with the light bulbs and show it's the same. You get the same results. You can do all the different. You can see all the different effects I mentioned. You could build the neutrinos and point them down at the Earth to get the signals. You can do all of those things yourself. Do them all. They're literal experiments that you could do.
Next, thanks for your question, Anthony. Let me know if I mispronounce Chikante says there's no triggering. Everything he has said is just level 1 flat Earth research. This sucks. Okay. I don't know who.
That's to him.
Gotcha.
He's basically saying you haven't actually looked at the flat Earth position enough to really know some of the basic questions.
That's right. I don't need to research fairy tales. It's kind of why.
Next.
That's ironic.
Thanks for your super chat from Bearded Devil 1864 says, WitsIt is just pushing the burden onto TJump to avoid his own. Commence the flat Earth sea lioning. There will be 0 valid arguments for the flat Earth presented by WitsIt.
Actually, can I bring that one up? Because that's not a problem. Like, he can totally do that. He's just doing the same thing atheists do to theists when they say that there is no God. We're not actually trying to prove God doesn't exist. We're just trying to prove the things that theists say are really stupid. So if that's his only, what he's actually claiming is just that what the arguments that globe earthers make are dumb, and he's trying to disprove those arguments. That's perfectly a legitimate position. You can totally do that. That's not a problem.
I gotta give him props for saying that. At least that's the first time I've ever even heard someone acknowledge it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, cool.
And Sunflower, thank you for your question, said, "It is I, Sunflower, destroyer of vegans. Bow to me." Thank you for that. By the way, Wotan is a vegan. Wotan might also be back soon. Somebody requested him. MacGyver Institute of Ninja Technology, thanks for your question, said, "WitsIt, let's talk electrostatistics sometime. I'm a subject matter expert and a flat earther. Hit me up."
Oh, nice. Yeah, everything that has matter is inherently electrostatic.
A new ally against TJump. Okay, so JPP3030. I just love these guys. Thanks says, I'm talking about Tom and Austin, but as well as JP. So it says, how is Flat Earth not a positive claim again? WitsIt? I guess we.
It's a positive claim to the general description of the surface of the Earth, not a model or shape.
Gotcha. Bearded Devil 1864 says, what causes the flat Earth magnetic field?
What causes it? There's some source of magnetism from the center, and the Earth acts as the inertial plane.
Gotcha. And Aaron Armstrong, thanks for your question as well, says, WitsIt, nice arrest pick, ha ha ha. Were you recently?
Thank you.
Okay, well.
It's been a minute now.
Nobody's perfect. Okay, next up, thanks for your question from Bearded Devil 1864 says, what causes, oh wait, we got that. Anthony Chicante says, panicked already and called him an idiot. I'm not sure who that's for. Oh, it must be for Tom.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I call people idiots all the time. Like, is this a surprise?
Gotcha. And thanks for your... Anthony follows up with another super chat. Says, you gotta moderate this globe head, James. Ad homs and interruptions already. Man, I'm sitting right here. Okay, Robert Summers, thanks for your question, said, how would you predict tides on the flat Earth down to the minute daily?
Yeah, tides just have a reoccurring nature to them, and tidal locking's never been substantiated. So how do you do it?
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. This one's from Gurmania asks, why haven't we seen the ends of the Earth if it's flat?
You can't go past the 60th parallel, and you can't see forever.
Okay. And thank you for your question. This one is from Absinthe, says, time to get out the crayons, TJump, so WitsIt can get it. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, those coloring books, going to make the Flat Earth coloring books. They'll be like a big publication. It'll be hilarious.
I would say the best course of action would be go physically prove the Earth curves, my man.
We've already done that, so I mean,
that's
next step
inaccurate.
now. Got to make those coloring books.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kevin Gilfu, thanks for your question. I know, Kevin, you told me how to pronounce it. Gilfau. Thank you. Says, TJump's chair makes better arguments than WitsIt. He obviously doesn't, quote, get it, unquote. That's why
y'all gotta be more. Oh, sorry.
Hold on,
sorry.
I'm still insulting you. It says that's. They say that's why he keeps trying to change the subject of magnetism.
Anyone that knows me knows that's like my favorite subject. But yeah. Anyway, cool add-ons. Come up with a better insult, dude, than just switching my name around with not or doesn't.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. Michael Dresden, Tom might remember that name, says, TJump is angry and, in all caps, getting owned. Thank you. Anthony Chicante says, for truth's sake, someone moderate this glober. I thought I did all right. You know, he's passionate. Gurmania, thank you for your question, says, do flat earthers believe in outer space, or is that a conspiracy too?
Well, flat earthers don't make a habit of believing things. Y'all are real big on the B word, but we don't believe the current connotation of space where they say there's a near perfect vacuum adjacent to a pressurized system. We claim it violates second law of thermodynamics.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. This one comes in from our dearest friend, Paul Martinson. Appreciate it. Says, kind of funny how a lot of people try so hard to fight against the observable natural law. Jesuits are laughing their butts off at these subservience. I have to be honest, I don't even understand it. Do you, Austin? Can you explain this to us? Why are the Jesuits laughing at? Why are they laughing?
Well, the Jesuits seem to have a big hand in the propagation of heliocentrism, and then a Jesuit priest proposed the Big Bang Theory. So I think people kind of have realized their hand in this whole model, maybe.
Gotcha. And Shigawire, thanks for your question, says, WitsIt, you need to learn trigonometry, geometry, and basic maths before you can participate. You can use Khan Academy. It's free.
Yeah, you need to try to go find some evidence that doesn't require planar geometry or trigonometry and actually applies spherical trigonometry.
Gotcha. And thanks out to your let's see. Thanks for your statements from Movie Theory, who says, I'm going to read these because there's two in a row. Tom interrupting because he knows he's losing. It's official. Tom lost. Call this one, James.
Actually, I normally interrupt because you use too many words together that don't make sense, so I'm usually asking for clarification when I interrupt.
Gotcha. And Paul Martinson, thanks for your question, said, I've mapped an equation out to make the math describing time-traveling leprechauns plausible. Trust me, I have a math equation for it.
If it makes testable predictions, then yeah, that's good evidence.
Excellent. And Stupid Whore Energy has entered the building. She says, how does WitsIt explain, I'm saying it the way she says it with her sass, how does WitsIt explain mathematics oftentimes is found to describe reality, like the math of circles correspond to physics of pendulums?
Math of circles. Well, there is the golden ratio. It seems to be consistent throughout existence, but math just describes things. And then, of course, once it's accurately described, it can be replicated.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question from Elijah Freeman says, WitsIt, 45 minutes in, move on. Gotcha. I don't know if they're a fan or a critic, but Jungle Jargon, thanks for your question, says, flat. His name's on the overlay. Okay, flat. That's all you get. You don't even get flat earther, just flat. Are you aware there are daily nonstop 14-hour flights between South America and Australia?
That's actually not true. So, well, it depends on what you're saying. Like as to how they could disprove the flat Earth, that's not true. The one flight they claim is like an anomaly. But so yeah, you'd have to be more like specific with what you're trying to say.
Gotcha. And Paul Martinson takes another jab at TJump. Gives me great pleasure to read this. Okay, no, I'm just kidding, Tom. I love you, buddy. Says, trust me, guys, there are rabid hyperspeed leprechauns prancing all around us. There's an equation that makes it work.
Well, if those leprechauns can give me gold bricks every time I ask for them and I'm a millionaire and you're not, it's pretty good evidence.
Gotcha. And Syed Ahmad, thanks for your question, friend, says falling back on fallacies means you have no argument, which also, where is WitsIt's flat earth evidence? Can he please substantiate with specificity?
Dude, think about people saying logical fallacies don't matter when they're like literally in place because they invalidate the consistency of an argument or how it's even like a viable postulation. People actually think that that's not a big deal. And yes, I did present some evidence. We didn't get into it. We talked about theoretical magnetism a long time, but we have long distance observations, void of physical obstruction. That substantiates the flat claim.
Gotcha. And let's see. P. Barnes, thanks for your question, says, TJump's chair, here it comes up again, creates a magnetic field that powers his brain. You can measure it with a compass. Very nice. Shigawire, thanks for your question, says, the one using pretentious language to make himself look smarter is quite obvious. It's not Tom.
I missed the first part. I think it's something about me using words.
Pretentious language.
Yeah. Sometimes whenever you want to make a specific articulate point, you create a bunch of different descriptors so they know exactly what you're saying.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question from Michael Dresden. Strikes again. Says, LOL, better luck next time, Globers. You lost. Okay. Richard Ashton is says, everything else is round. Can't we be flat and special?
Yeah, that's just stupid, you know. Just because lights in the sky appear to be circular orbs doesn't mean terra firma is a ball.
Next, thank you for your question. I always love this username. A little fat girl says, sounds like WitsIt is presupposing that the moon magically becomes dark in some spots.
No, I know it's not very common you Globers experience this, but intellectually honesty is what I presented. I prefaced by saying, I don't know. There's a speculation.
Gotcha. Paul Martinson strikes again. Thunderous blows being hurled at Tom. Says, I'm pretty sure this Glober doesn't understand how light works. Pretty sure I understood this in 2nd grade.
That's impressive if you understood how light works in 2nd grade and what photons are.
Next up, Mikey Riot. Thanks for your question. Says, next week, WitsIt versus magnets and shadows. Make it happen, James. All hail the chair.
I missed what is he asking?
They want you to debate against magnets and shadows.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, cool. That'll be a very productive exchange with inanimate objects, I'm sure.
Stupid whore energy strikes again, saying you can take a time lapse of the shadow on the moon from space during an eclipse.
Oh, cool story, bro.
I don't think he believes in space.
I don't believe in theoretical conceptual medium of space-time bending. No, I don't.
Gotcha. Juicy. We might have to have a debate on whether or not space exists. That'd be super fun. Raven Zero, thanks for your question, says, oh wow, so WitsIt doesn't understand shadows now.
Yeah, what I said is objective. Shadows, absence of light caused by physical obstruction.
Gotcha. And Paul Martinson this time swings a hook at Tom, says, this guy is holding on to the globe like a kid would a teddy bear. Take it away, and the tantrums are predicted. At some point, that kid has to learn to grow up and join reality.
Yeah, I'll join the flat Earth reality society. That'll be fun.
Paul is coming at you. Rob Kin, thanks for your question. Says, this is for modern day debates. WitsIt gets it. Gets it. Thanks for your support, Rob. And Syed Ahmad, thanks for your question. Says, flaticity, earthicity, with specificity and substantiation. Icity. Now, how about that positive flat Earth evidence, WitsIt?
Yeah. It's, as opposed to critiquing the way that I use words, how about you actually respond to the argument with specificity? And I've already addressed the whole flat earthers don't have evidence thing. Yes, we do. Earth presents itself geocentric stationary plane. Y'all have no physical evidence. We have all observable phenomena.
Gotcha. And that does Nathan Thompson use the word specificity a lot? For some reason, it makes me think of Nathan. Is that one of his?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's kind of like one of my favorite words. I think it's like the best word ever made, maybe.
He would have enjoyed tonight's debate. It would have. It's the way he would have wanted it. So we hope he's doing well, Nathan. Next up, thanks for your question. Sean Charles says nobody can demonstrate large body of water sticking to a spinning surface. So why would we believe level water can arch or leave a lump of water in the middle of the ocean? Tom, why is that?
You could hold a drop of water on a pin. There's a big ball of water on a pin.
Gotcha. And thanks so much. Appreciate your question from Reality Hijacked. Says, if you magnetized a flat, square piece of metal the geometry of the field would be exactly the same toroidal bubble space as a spherical magnet. Having said that, the Earth is clearly a sphere, WitsIt.
Oh, well, at least that person was honest enough to acknowledge that what I said was objectively true, that the toroidal manifestation is independent of the physical matter that it's emanating from, and the Earth acts as a inertial plane. So obviously I disagree with you on the end, but whatever. Better than nothing.
Gotcha. Someone said, I wish Nathan can debate, though he's banned from the chat. It's true, Nathan broke the rules. We have to apply them consistently. I don't know, folks. What do you think in the live chat? Should we let Nathan back? Tom wants a shot at Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan's afraid of me. He's afraid to debate. It's sad.
So should we have him...
Let Nathan back. Spam one in the chat for Nathan back.
Because Nathan, by the way, folks, he's not in jail. He dead. Just kidding. Do you know who says that though? I was quoting somebody, a famous YouTuber. He's not really dead. He's not in jail either, that I know of. Next, thanks for your question. This one comes in from Stupid Whore Energy is just the Energizer Bunny. She doesn't stop. She says, WitsIt, how do you manipulate the cause of radioactive decay?
Well, I don't guess that you necessarily could. I certainly don't believe the presupposed interpretation of rate of change. It's ridiculous.
Gotcha.
You don't believe in radioactive decay?
I don't believe in it being applied to any extended period of time with an assumed rate of change.
Gotcha. I'm looking at the live chat. We do have, let's see, we got a lot of ones, we've got some twos. We have Alan H says, hell no. And then we've got, let's see. So I can't remember, what did 1 and what did 2 mean?
Yeah, I vote we bring him back.
I said hit 1 if you want Nathan back. Yeah.
Public space got it. He did. That's from Jesse Lee Peterson. Okay, thanks for your feedback, chat. We will perhaps bring Nathan back. Tom wants a piece of him. But I will say it is true that we do want the chat to be relatively friendly. It's like totally cool to lambast and just excoriate people's arguments. But the people themselves, we'd ask, can you take it easy on the people, Sometimes you go after their appearance and stuff, and that's where it's like, come on. Now you're like harassing them. So next up, thanks for your question from Paul Martinson. He is non-stop after you, Tom. I hope you're ready. He says, put any gas in a coffee can and place it 200 miles away and ask any scientist to tell you what that is. And then times that distance by 12.5 billion.
Yeah, if you put gas, a large number of gas in a coffee can, if it's like a heavy gas, it's still going to be in the coffee can. You can still measure what it is by like just looking at it and seeing the effects of what it does in the coffee can, because it's not going to be the same as a liquid or a solid. And so you can compare it to a liquid, a solid, and gas in a little container next to you and say, oh, look, it's like that one. So it's a gas. It's pretty simple. Gotcha.
And John Rapp, thanks for your, state question. Said, bend water? Bend gas? Are you a 3-year-old?
What?
I don't know who that's insulting. Who is that meant to insult?
It's talking about when we were discussing how I asked if you could physically demonstrate water bending around a ball, and you talked about gas.
Gotcha. Next up, thanks for your question. This one comes in from Michael Dresden, Tom's old buddy. He says, Tom and his word salad philosophy of science, all caps, LOL.
Yeah, I just straight up took that from like the Stanford Encyclopedia. If you can look it up, it's not too hard.
Physical science proves things with...
Okay, next. Thanks for your question from Gabriel K. Says, there is only a 5-degree tilt to the moon's orbit on the Earth/Sun plane. Have you done the math to verify that Earth can't cast a shadow in this case?
Yeah, I'm asking you if the Earth's shadow can actually refract up above the horizon with the apparent location of the moon itself. So, come on.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. This one comes in. By the way, Joey Rocca, people have said, they're like, we want to hear Joey Rocca in a debate. The door is open, Joey. We'd love to have you if you'd like to come on. Just want to let you know that. And Gabriel K. Oh, we read that one. Thanks for your question from Not Asher. Says, please ask WitsIt why we have no proof of a barrier around the flat earth and why all of the governments collectively decided they want to hide that land.
Why would the governments want to hide land? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You're asking me a why question. It's like if I walk up to you with my iPhone, I'm like, hey, look, your girl's cheating on you, bro. Look at her. And you won't look at the video till I can tell you why she cheated. Like, okay, don't look at the video, bro. Keep dating her. You know, that's not my problem. And what's the proof of containment? The necessary antecedent to gas pressure is physical containment. And there's also military declassified documents that they use an approximation method to determine the brightness of the firmament. And the approximation method was proven correct.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. This one comes in from, let's see, Paul Martinson. Like a pit bull. He is just on Tom like white on rice. Says, natural law supersedes any theory at any time. Observable, verifiable, repeatable, all the time.
You can't observe laws. Laws are descriptions of consistency. So the laws are the science stuff. You can't just like observe the law. It's induction.
Gotcha. I feel like Tucker Carlson when I read these. They want to take away your freedoms. Okay, next up, Paul Martinson. Thanks for your question. Says natural. No, we got that one. Sorry. Anthony Chicante says axiomatic in all caps. Flat Earth doesn't even need science. It's that obvious. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Tom.
Yeah, okay. Abandon science. That's a good methodology. I like it.
So the globe Earth does.
Next up, 85 or Area 85 restorations. By the way, if somebody knows where I took that phrase, it's from an old debate. So if you love debates, especially on religion and atheism, that I was quoting an old debate there when I said stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Area 85 restorations. Thanks for your question. Said if the Earth isn't rotating, how was I able to build a Foucault pendulum 2 weeks ago and calculate my latitude based off of it?
Yeah, there seems to be a general reoccurring drift. The pendulum claims causation is axial rotation. That's never been substantiated. It isn't consistent, doesn't have an independent frame of reference, and you have to start it.
And Fractal Escape, thank you for your friendly correction. Feedback said it's pronounced Joey Rocha. Joey Rocha, you are very welcome on here anytime. So sorry about that. Very embarrassing. Next, and Godless Witch Bella says someone banned me for nothing. Oh, I think they're not talking about our chat. I think they're talking about somewhere else. Okay, thanks for your question. Oh yes, Bruce Wayne says we need a Muslim to debate an atheist, please. I think we actually have that. We had that this Sunday. Did you guys not see on one of our upcoming debates this Sunday? We were debating, does Islam fit in Western society? Whoa. That's one I'm a little bit nervous about. That's going to be a wild one. So yes, that's this Sunday, folks. It looks like it's going to be a juicy one. And thanks for your question. This comes from Sunflower says, WitsIt. It's about the predictive capacity of a model. Flat Earth can't predict as much stuff as Globe Earth can. Accurate predictions have utility.
Yeah. You cannot tout predictability when the model was built over 500 years of seeing reoccurring observable phenomena. It's foolish.
Stupid Whore Energy says otherwise. She says time can pass more slowly, unrelated, due to proximity to physical objects, so it is physical.
Yeah, that's preposterously stupid. I'm just going to be blunt, frankly honest. That makes no sense at all. No, the only way that we have to measure is a physical mechanism. The actual passing itself, time, is a concept we use to quantify the passing.
Gotcha. And let's see. I want to see if anybody knew what debate that was from. All right. Next up, Alex Stein. I just saw this pop in the chat, so I'm reading it like spontaneously. He says, Austin crushed this dude. Not even gonna name you. Oh, they say TJump lost. Tom is not amused. Okay, thanks for your question. This next one comes. Oh wait, hold on, my computer's spazzing. 2 seconds. Next up, Area 85 Restorations. Thank you for your question. Says Flurfer crying random fallacies. That's when they realize they don't have anything.
No, there's nothing random to it. They were very relevant to each time I mentioned them, and fallacies are very important for logical consistency of a point.
Gotcha. And Paul Martinson, thanks for your question. Says, if people think time is physical, I think they're too far gone. Save your breath. Next, thanks for your question from just many A's in a row. It says, TJump, I like how you explain things. Props.
Thank you.
You got a fan out there, Tom. Next, let's see if I think I've got all of these. Yep, we got that. Next, thanks for your question. This one comes in from Syed Ahmad. Says, went to the school of Nathan Oakley and Sleepy Warrior. Seriously, nothing but fallacies by WitsIt at the end.
Yeah. Globers always say that. They mention those two people or QE, and none of that's the case. I just think for myself, maybe that would show you guys that you're using the same consistently fallacious reasoning that is required for us to call it out.
Gotcha. And thanks for your question. This one comes in from Lily R.O. Says, how freaking boring must be the life of a flat earther. No space, no time travel. Sad. P.S. James is the best looking moderator ever. That's so kind of you. I really do. I'm convinced. Lily R.O. is actually Bob the postal worker from Alabama. Thank you, Bob. But let's see. No, I didn't make that up at the end, though. But now I'm like, oh, I should add that. I should just tack that on at the end of Super Chats. James is the best looking moderator ever, by the way. Zach Brannigan, thanks for your question, says, what's WitsIt got against balls?
I just don't believe in magic spinning cartoon balls brought to me by Jesuit priests that defy basic laws of physics.
Next, Eps1123, thanks for your question, said, so are all astronauts paid actors?
Only 24 people have even claimed to go past low Earth orbit. So, yeah, I don't find it too outlandish to think that 24 people lied.
Gotcha. I appreciate your questions, folks. We've got another one from D. Darko. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you again. Says, what we know is a drop. What we don't know is an ocean. Maybe both of you would agree with that. And Loss V, thanks for your super chat, said, let's get Wotan back. I couldn't agree more. I loved Victor. A lot of people, I feel like they got sick of him and were like, yeah, Wotan. Tom, did you ever debate Wotan?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Area 85 Restorations, thanks for your question, said, I work at a rocket launch and test site as an engineer. Can you explain how I'm, quote, being lied to, unquote, when I'm one of the people designing and building vehicles that we have sent to space?
Okay, so you designed some vehicles, compartmentalized, and therefore you can now independently verify you went into a magical bendy space-time medium that defies the basic law of second law of thermodynamics because you did a part. Like that's, come on, dude.
Next up, thanks for your question from Gabriel K. He says, everything is concept, not just time. So throw away science. I think they mean throw away science and our sanity because we can never know for sure? Are you a Poe? I just have this feeling.
That's not my position. I think science does prove things.
Yeah, it's just standard definition of science. Science can't ever prove anything. Proof only exists in math and logic. Just Google the definition of science and proof.
Gotcha. And thank you for your question. Robert Summers says, gravity predicts tides with ease. Why can't you all?
Gravity, the 9.8 meters per second squared agreed upon average of rate of fall predicts something when it would be negligible to the effect on it? Or are you talking about bendy space-time, which would still be negligible? Actually, tidal locking was explained after the phenomena was recorded and reoccurring. People should learn their own religion before they teach other people about it.
Gotcha. And Eliezer Torres, thanks for your question, friend. Says, way to go, TJump. You failed 5th grade general science.
Yeah, 5th grade flat earth science. Not really interested in those kind of classes.
Next, Brian Broca, thanks for your question. Says, seriously, you try not to just believe things? What about your magic sky daddy?
Yeah, well, I think the necessary antecedent to creation is creator. Anything other than that would be foolish to even entertain. So I don't, yeah, that's not really much belief for me. Can you propose an alternative?
Gotcha. And Sean Hawkins, one of our favorite modern day debate critics. Glad to see you, Sean. Says, why is WitsIt getting help from QE on Discord?
Who is QE?
Dude, Sean Hawkins is this guy that like stalks my YouTube and makes videos of me, and he's like obsessed with QE and Nathan Oakley, Quantum Eraser. He's the one that presented the Black Swan. Anyway, shout out QE and Nathan Oakley and Sleepy Warrior and Chocolate and everybody else that makes you clown spiral. Because if Flat Earth was stupid, why would you stalk us and get so upset about it? It's really kind of weird. Stop being weirdos.
Gotcha. Brian Brokaw, thanks for your question. Says, Austin, could you please inform us as to your scientific qualifications to criticize Einstein and dictate what real science is?
Yeah, my qualification is the cognitive processing ability to understand what the study of natural science is and then apply it to the natural world.
Gotcha. Stupid Whore Energy, thanks for your statement. Says, I believe in James's balls. Thank you for that support, as always. And next, so let me see. I think we're pretty much to the time where we kind of run out of time. We want to say thank you so much to our guests, Tom and Austin. It has been a true pleasure. I put the greatest flat earth debate on all time on the thumbnail, and I have to tell you guys, it was tremendous. Thank you guys so much. These guys are linked in the description, folks. So if you're listening, Sean Hawkins, if you did not know Austin WitsIt's YouTube channel link, well, now it's there for you, Sean. You can watch as much of him as you want. So he's a huge fan. So thanks so much. We really do appreciate everybody for your support. Mods, by the way, this is a new thing we want to do. If you're a moderator, even we have one of our Sean Hawkins is one of our bigger critics. Seriously, Sean is like really come at me at times if I remember it, and he's a moderator. But that's okay. You know what? We keep our critics around, folks. That's what you got to do. We don't want to be an echo chamber, and I do want to remind you of the vision for modern day debate. I'll say this quickly and succinctly, folks. We want to provide an equal platform for everybody from all walks of life. We want everybody to get their chance to make their case on an equal playing field. And so really, we do want to let you know you're welcome here. Flat earther, globe earther, Christian, atheist, gay, straight, trans, you name it. No matter what walk of life, we want you here. This is a melting pot of different ideas. Trump supporters, Democrats, you name it. We're glad you're here. So thanks so much for all of that. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, James, can I make a quick shout out real quick? I just want to shout out, if y'all want to continue this conversation, after party, 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, the arena, 24/7. You can go in there, one-on-one, moderated debate. If you want to actually learn about the discussion, it's a good place to go.
Gotcha. And this has been a total wild one. I seriously enjoy this. So I do hope you guys have a great night, folks. We're going to be here with 3 debates tomorrow. See that one right there? Debate on sex work with Ruby Spacek. She will be debating S.J. Thomason, Tom's long-lost best friend. You've debated S.J., right?
Yeah, several times.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So that should be a fun one with many others, folks. Like I said, if you want reminders, hit that bell notification if you do subscribe. And depending on how many you want, just click all if you want all. I don't think YouTube is... Why would they shadow ban such a tremendous vision that we have here? We're excited about the future. So, as I mentioned, Tom and Austin are linked in the description. Thanks so much, everybody. I just hate saying goodbye. I just love being here. So, keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable, folks. Take care and have a great night.